sometimes it could be a better deal. Just depends on who sent you the initial
You just have to be big enough to
Here's
be able
one
to.
real quick caveat. Remember that, that agency exclusivity exists on the brand side as well. So sometimes the brand actually may not be able to activate with you, and you can only go through their agency to do it. And that's contractual too, and that happens a lot. Companies like Raid Shadow Legends, they do exactly what Steve is talking about. They'll literally just go to like 100 agencies and be like, "Hey, if you guys can get the people, we have this budget." And there are agencies like what we do is we work with a brand and then we say, okay, this is our marketing spend for the quarter, and the brand wouldn't talk to somebody else over that for their.
The revelations of a thief or of a prostitute are rightfully suspected by the normal citizen of having been dressed for publicity, either sensational or sentimental or both. An unstable emotionalism in the subject, perhaps psychopathic, induces a melodramatic and unreal treatment of past experience. The tale is told not as it happened, but rather as the subject likes in reverie to think it happened, or as he believes the reader would like to have had it happen. There is nothing of that sort in Jack Black's story of his life as a professional thief. The honesty of the confession is self-evident. With a few lapses to the conventional, the expected, he displays the rare literary power of letting the facts speak for themselves, without any window dressing, either lachrymose or hilarious. He has an instinct for reality. Indeed, it is that mental grip, enabling him to perceive and apply realities, that obviously brought him out in the end so that he could break the shackles of his criminal habits and reinstate himself completely in accord with society. It was almost purely a mental feat. At the end, to be sure, he dwells upon the helpfulness of kind friends, especially Mr. Older, of, of the square deal he got from Judge Doone, and recognizes fully the impulse of gratitude to a friend who helped him escape from prison by cutting out the hardest single bond he had to break. Those were emotional responses. But if it had not been for his own good mind, which he had slowly disciplined by reason, that resolve to go straight would have been another feeble human aspiration for amendment with which the human hell is paved. Chief interest I find in Black's rapid survey of his life as a thief is the progress of mental awakening and a corresponding growth of character as a man, without which all the help of kind and enlightened friends would have availed naught. It was Black did for himself what he was that counted most. Jack Black was an experimental psychologist. He discovered slowly and painfully, as most do, the psychological character of himself and of the world in which he was placed. Thus he explored the law of habit and the purely mental quality of self-control long before he attempted to apply his knowledge to his own case. Any habit, he maintains, apropos of the opium habit, can be broken provided the victim wants sufficiently to change, and he notes the power of substitution, welcoming even his worries as distractions mentally from the obsession of opium. His emphasis on the necessity of a subjective desire for change and an unerring diagnosis of self. He wanted another kind of life enough to make it come true. That is the great distinction of Jack Black as professional lawbreaker in person. His case is so common in our restless mobile civilization that it may be called typical or standard. An active, intelligent, likable boy with no stable ties, he had ventured on the open road, almost by accident, the wide world tempting him on, took what he wanted, learned the habits and the resources of vagrancy, of criminality, of vice. But he did not sink to the dregs per formula. He went to the top of his society, stirred by emulation with the only companions he had, hobos, thieves, gamblers, yeggs. He distinguished himself not only by success in individual exploits, but by a superiority of character that would not break, snitch, or play the other fellow's game, and by loyalty to his mates. Then came, as he was emerging from youth, the chance that landed him in a well-run Canadian prison, and fertilized the seed of intellectual interest by giving him access to a good library. For the first time he discovered consciously his own mind, the interest of it, And from this period, it is evident that the habit of reading, of thinking, gained on him until, with relentless logic of his mind, thus freed and fed, convinced him that his boy's life of defiance and lawlessness was wrong. After he was convinced, it took years to free himself from all the implications of 20 years of crime. But once convinced with a mind of that quality, the result was inevitable. Strange irony that the mental life so essential to black salvation should have been further fostered by the gift of a library which Abe Rufe gave to the prison where he and Black happened to be fellow prisoners. Rufe had taken the money with which he bestowed in this form on his fellow criminals from the public of San Francisco. Mr. Fremont Older, as a powerful newspaper editor, was largely responsible for putting Rufe into the prison and later in freeing him, where Rufe was indirectly an instrument in freeing Jack Black from his bonds. There was an aspect of the Canadian prison experience less commendable than its order and its providing the prisoners with good library. Its wholesomeness and on the whole human management so glaringly in contrast with the American prisons pictured in this story, and that was flogging. In these days of return to medieval punishments for criminals advocated by many leading citizens, it is well to realize how devastating to Black were his two experiences of brutal force, flogging in Canada and the straitjacket in Folsom. They made him, and so many others, inhuman wild beasts ready for murder or suicide. They left Black not cowed, but mutinous, hating and hateful. The experience was wholly bad and futile, except possibly as a test of his own growing self-control. It does not need Jack Black's corroborative evidence to know that brutality does not pay, even when applied to the dangerous and to the outcast. In spite of the talk about reviving the whipping post, we know that the use of physical brutality, flogging, straitjackets, and third-degree methods will disappear. They are failures in getting results from human beings. It is only a crude society, as ours still is largely, that would tolerate what goes on often in our larger prisons, where the application of justice is left to a class little removed from the criminals on whom they operate. To maim and mutilate human beings, to terrify and brutalize them in order to correct them, is so obviously foolish and wicked that it hardly needs statement. In some cases, like Black's, the victim is not broken, but tempered and hardened in will, in evil. And that brings me to the most depressing fact in criminology that the present book illustrates. The criminal is almost always of an inferior mentality. It is only a superior mentality such as Black's that can survive and ultimately win freedom. Probably Jack Black would admit that among his wide acquaintance in the criminal class, only a few, very few, had the mental quality, the character to break their chains. The mass were condemned to remain criminals because of a defective mentality. That suggests inevitably the confused subject of eugenics and birth control in society's relation to the criminal class, which it so much fears and detests, but before which it so often seems, as at the present moment, hopeless, like an arrogant, half-well-meaning parent angry over a troublesome child whose troublesomeness is in large part the fruit of the parent's own defective character. Many of these aberrant specimens might be deflected from crime by feeding their minds. Few ever can do it for themselves as Black almost wholly did it for himself. Does modern life offer youth a movie, bootleg liquor, and sex? These are the raw stimuli with which youth tries to infuse some color movement into the tyrannous drabness of a standardized industrial life. In drawing his moral at the end, Black forgets, as the middle-aged are wont to forget, the glamour and the lure of the hangout in the open road, which in his boyhood seemed to be the only way out of a cheerless drudgery. There are, of course, many other ways, which Black discovered later for himself, and that is why I think his story is so well worth reading and pondering upon. Besides, it is entertaining because unvarnished and unpretentious. I like that. I like that. The author has a way of putting words together.
I just say on the point of like the exclusivity deals. I was offered a few of those deals like 4 years ago, and I said no to each one. One because I've heard some bad stories about people being signed to bad, management's place that would just take a percentage for AdSense. But two, it felt weird to me that we were signing mutually, like we were getting engage in like mutually beneficial relationships, and yet like these deals
Still going? Oh yeah.
seem so restrictive in terms of like flexibility. And so I can understand wanting to protect your interests, but if we're both coming in at it with like some measure of good faith, there should be a lot of room for me to be able to not sign to like a 4 or 5 year deal. And so most agencies I wanted to work with that came to me in good faith were open to that, and we both made a lot of money. And so why would I sign an exclusivity deal locking me into something I might regret a year from now or 2 years from now when I don't have to do that? So I would tell you, lead, if you're thinking about doing this stuff, you can have mutually beneficial relationships where you make money, they make money without being exclusive.
Yeah, or like basically what you should be thinking of is that like if somebody's asking for exclusivity.
Yeah, I wasn't focused on the exclusive part. I wasn't talking about the exclusivity. I was talking about, you know, who are good agencies to go with. Does that imply exclusivity? Like in terms of getting branded?
No, but like a good one won't
I don't know anything.
a good one won't necessarily force exclusivity on you. A bad one traditionally. That's been my experience.
I think that depends, right? The golden standard for like exclusivity is like if somebody wants exclusivity, you got to be getting something big in exchange for it. That's the thing you have to keep in mind. If somebody's giving you some like bog standard fucking whatever deal and they want exclusivity, then they can go fuck themselves. But if they're giving you like cash up front or like a daily or like a monthly payment or something like some stuff like that, like exclusivity is going to come with some strings attached, right?
You should trade a lot for that right. That's exactly right. And the only way that I see exclusivity making sense is if the agency is willing to do a JV with you where they are going to do some kind of product line or they're going to do some kind of long-standing thing that you can track objectively in a contract and you can say this is going to be beneficial to me. But in so many instances, the reason why a talent agency will sign to his talent is because it increases the valuation of our company, right? If I have you under contract for 2 years, it increases my value as a company, and that's why people want to do it. But then after I have you on that contract, I can just leave you there, right? Like I don't particularly have to sell you anything. That value's done. So you have to be really careful with that list. Like Steven said, you should always get something massive in return for that deal.
True. Also, as a quick announcement on stream, okay, guys, this is it. Okay, I need you to retweet the fuck out of this tweet. Go. Wait, I think I fucked.
You trying to get your Twitter back?
Yeah, this guy's doing it. I'm gonna be honest. If you would ask me 1 week ago, my chance of Twitter coming back, it was optimistically 15%, and now I'm thinking it's like 80%.
Bro. Listen, I already DM'd Elon, so I think
Yeah, I'm sure you did. Okay.
You talk to Lex.
I did. I did. I asked him.
A-list, bro. You're so shameless.
I did. I emailed him. I was like, "Listen, this is wildly inappropriate, but like, hey, if it comes up, you know, put in a good word for me."
This guy is so thirsty for fucking Twitter testimonials.
Yeah.
Reach out to
I
every
believe in it, man. I don't know how long you're gonna come back for because my take on Twitter has changed a lot since Elon unbanned all those people.
Hero coming back, like it's gonna be like is it the Demolisher or the Demolition Man or whatever, where they bring back the old criminal, but it's because the world is so fucked up. Like in a world of Destiny, really that bad, you know?
I think it's not that you're that bad. I think it's that you're that irrelevant.
Yeah, is that me? Thank you. True.
Christine, I've been really bullish on Twitter, but after these unbans, man, these brands are so scared. There's a lot of ad budget being pulled now.
How much of it is performative, and how much is going to come back as soon as they realize how much traffic?
And we weren't worried at all. And now I think it's a little bit scarier.
I think that it's funny because in a way, I feel like advertising and corporations are where to an outsider you think there's a lot of fundamental value driving like the actual trades, but in reality, a lot of it is just like CEO. That guy who's like, I don't know, man, this might be bad. And you think behind the scenes, like, oh god, there's like 1 million people that are like crunching numbers. You know, they've got KPIs, they're figuring out their conversion ratios. But in reality, some guys like yesterday on Fox and Friends, they said Andrew Tate got unbanned from Twitter, and I think he rapes people. So let's go ahead and pull like our 8-figure deal and wait like 2 months and see what happens. Like it's actually that fucking stupid. It's so dumb.
That's
It's 100%. I literally, as soon as Elon started unbanning people, I had so many emails of like, so can we throw that in something else? Can we do like PPC on AdWords instead or whatever like that? I got like a bunch of calls on Sunday when okay, just from Elon, the naked nun, and she's like bent over, and he's naked from Donald Trump. I got emails that were like, yeah, so this is like not gonna fly, like polar ad budget. And I was like, okay.
It's so stupid.
Yeah.
Wait, that was enough for them to pull the ad budget?
Dude, like advertisers will pull over, like you'll be, and then I'm really tempted sometimes to be like, bro, like just shut the fuck up and wait 1 week because you're one of like 10,000 advertisers on a platform where some shit that happened that's gonna be forgotten about in literally 2 weeks happened. Like, you're actually delusional. It's so stupid. Like, it's brainless.
Yeah, there's like a lot of money being pulled from Twitter right now, and it's kind of crazy because 90% of Twitter's.
Yeah, let me ask.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
let me ask you, Devin. You know, for my content, you haven't seen my content, but it can be a little racy. You know, we get into some man, woman. You know, now and then I'll say the N word and things of that nature, right? And I'm a lot.
We do the same here, don't worry.
You know, getting a.
We do the same here, don't worry.
You know, getting the ads. But because I'm so relaxed and natural with my community, you know, I've got a following for that. How important do you think it is for content creators to really change their content to specifically try to garner more ad campaigns and be more advertiser friendly?
I think you should always be. This is such a fucking like pageant answer, but you should always be
True to
authentic.
yourself.
Yeah, really. Like you should always be authentic to your content and what got you your audience, than to conform to any advertising standards.
Well,
that said, right there, that you will pay the price for this. But I think the price to pay is larger if you PG out, and that's meaningfully different from the original value you delivered to your.
Well, hold on. I think that what you have to do is there is an amount of edge that is good, and there are things that you can subtract from your content that won't make a meaningful difference for who will engage with you. This has been a very challenging life lesson that I've been learning over the past my entire fucking life. But there are certain things that I do that people like me because I'm a certain level of edgy, and then there are things that increase my edginess by 1%, and they decrease my advertiser friendliness by 5,000%. So identifying those things I think is really important thing. Find the edge. If making fun of women getting divorced is a thing that drives your content over, that's fine. But if calling a woman a bitch or a cunt, that's probably not necessary. But something like that might be enough to turn somebody away. So it's really important to identify those niches.
For example, for Destiny,
Yeah.
you cover all the most